Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 8-game slate here on DraftKings, and really a lot of decent amount of pitching options up top, and it kind of leaves you limited as far as what batters you do want to pay up for. But overall, I kind of like this. It's a nice mid-game slate here.
Yeah, I definitely like this. It's fun. I mean, there's a lot of pitching, but it's not like a lot of like 13K or 12K guys. It's like they're in that 10K range, so then you can still pay up for some hitting there. So I do think this is a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. And this first one here, Rays and Royals, definitely this one's going to be, I think, an interesting one because you look at these Rays bats against lefties, they are very good.
And Duffy's also pretty good too.
Yeah, Duffy's been reasonably well this year. And obviously, I think there is some upside for this Rays team. I mean, Duffy 1.33 home runs per 9 to righties this year, but also has had a decent strikeout rate, and that is something that the Rays do struggle with at times. So, I do kind of see it's one of those starts where maybe Duffy gives up a couple homers, but does maybe have 6 to 7 strikeouts to kind of back him up. But easy. I love these prices of the front four of the Rays. I mean, really reasonable.
Very reasonable. And as you mentioned, the Rays are a really good ISO team against lefties. So I think we have to at least pay attention and take seriously the front of this Rays lineup at their prices, especially Geyer and Pierce, even Souza at 27.
Yeah, really cheap options, and obviously you got Longoria and Forsythe, who are both kind of better, more consistent track record guys against lefties. But 4,000 and 4,100 is really not a bad price tag for those names.
Right.
As far as the Royals go, the only bat I said I might take a chance with is Salvador Perez and FanDuel, and that'll be the same thing here on DraftKings, just because he's 2.7. There's a little bit of home run upside. I mean, Archer's obviously struggled with the long ball this year, but coming around, and he's been better at home. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Royals. There's never really a ton of power there.
Agreed. Yeah. Morales is really the only guy because he's 24. Or you said Perez, right?
Yeah.
Perez at 27. Yeah. That's really all I'm looking at.
Morales at 24. I mean, that is a really cheap option.
Really, I mean, really, not really, Yeah,
it's not a fun one for the Royals. I don't think it's going to be that productive of a game for them. I think maybe a shot or two as far as a home run goes. You can give them that against Archer, but that's probably about it.
Mm-hmm.
Twins and Indians next here. Danny Salazar versus Jose Barrios, and for me, I'm not really looking at the Twins' offense. And you talked about Max Kepler as being a deep tournament play. 4,500 here.
Yeah,
a little much.
Not paying 4,500 for Kepler there, so I think you can find value even on an 8-game slate. There's much better values than that, so I think we're in an all-out fade of the Twins lineup tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not really looking to use them, and to be honest, I mean the Indians' prices here we are. I mean, you talked to us on FanDuel. I mean, FanDuel they're a little bit more reasonable here. 5K for the front three of that lineup, and then even Napoli, Ramirez, Nyquist are all crazy high.
Ugh. Yeah, whenever that top four is up over 20K total, it's kind of tough to pay up for them and really stack them unless you're just going all in. And I don't think that's necessarily the strategy tonight with some of these mid-range pitchers. So I'm probably going to be avoiding that stack, but they're still in play. But obviously you have to go in as a stack all in.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I don't mind a one-off of as far as the power guys like Kipnis. I mean, Kipnis has enough one-off upside to pay off a price like at 5,100 as a complete stack. I mean, it's not like every guy hits a homer. You do have the guy who goes, 2 for 4 with 2 singles in a run. And if that's Lindor, that's not worth a $5,300 price tag.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm okay with one-offs like you mentioned, Kipnis or even a Lindor, but you really need that homer if you do pay up for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yankees and Mets here, and I like this game as far as the prices go. I mean, kind of intriguing options. I mean, picking on Logan Verrey, I mean, he's been hit harder by righties, but still pretty average against left-handers this season. I don't mind, really the front five of that lineup if Beltran is in the lineup, if he doesn't get traded. I mean, there's a lot of potential there in Citi Field. I mean, it's not a bad home run park for lefties, especially during this time of the year.
Yeah, I'm not too excited about the Yankees here. I do like McCann. I think Gardner's a decent pay up option, but beyond that, I don't necessarily see a ton of upside. Obviously, you like to share his price, but he hasn't really been hitting that well since he came back.
No, and I mean, really, I'm looking for a lot of the more of the power guys like a Beltran, McCann, or Teixeira.
Hmm.
Gardner, I don't mind at the price tag. He's been a little bit better than Ellsbury. Ellsbury's probably been by far the most
The
average to
dud. Yeah.
subpar, yeah, DFS performer. But obviously, decent matchup against Ferrer. I don't hate it.
Hmm.
In the Mets side, I mean, Neil Walker, and I know you got a nice little tidbit for stats that he has hits wise.
Oh, 12 in the last five. Yeah, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's been rolling, and he's actually hit lefties pretty well this year. So I don't mind him against Sabathia. I really think him and Wilmer Flores are certainly intriguing options at second and third there.
Yeah, I like those two. And as I mentioned, Loney's been hitting well, but you can't really play him against a lefty. So kind of looking at those two and bouncing pretty quick from this lineup.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Marlins and Cubs next here, and look at the Cubs offense. They're expensive. Um, I think if I was paying up for one bat out of that front three, it's going to be Chris Bryant. I don't mind Zobrist and Contreras price, even though Zobrist has struggled a little bit, but I don't mind those guys tonight either.
So I know my decision, but would you rather pay up for one of those Indians top three or Chris Bryant if you had to pick one?
Bryant.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a pretty clear distinction you should make. That Bryant, if you do want to pay up for that one guy and still get two really solid pitchers, Bryant's the one pay up for me over them.
Yeah, me too. And I think overall, I mean, this Cubs offense is kind of like the Indians, where it is a little bit expensive. I mean, obviously, you have a little bit better value. I mean, Zobrist and Contreras is fine. Um, but overall, I mean, it's not really a great value there as far as a whole.
No, not really. You do like Zobrist at 41, like you mentioned, though.
Yeah, definitely. And on the Marlins side, I mean,
Mm.
I can't see using a Stanton at 4.4, Yelich at 4.6. I mean, obviously Ozuna's cheap, but Hendricks has been good. I mean, he's been good against right-handers. I mean, 247 WOBA allowed. Not a lot of hard ball contact. I mean, he's just been really solid.
Yeah, and I kind of like Yelich on FanDuel, but he's not really in play here at 46. I just think that's too much for who he's facing.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just kind of looking at the Marlins and just going, nope. They're kind
Yeah,
of like the
not.
Twins for me tonight.
Yeah, think so. Agreed.
So, Blue Jays and Astros next, and this one I think a little bit more intriguing as far as the Blue Jays side go, just because Donaldson's still expensive, but Bautista and Saunders aren't that bad of prices, and Encarnacion's manageable against Fister. I don't mind those guys.
So you're coming with me on the 4-person stack here, definitely being in play.
It's certainly
Um,
in play. I mean, nice ballpark. I mean,
it
there's definitely some potential.
averages out to around like 4,600 for per player if you do that. So I kind of do like that. I think there's quite a bit of upside, and I believe you said Doug Fister's going to be pitching, not Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, Fister's coming back from the paternity leave, I believe, tonight.
So that's definitely intriguing. And obviously we don't normally throw Saunders into that three, the top three, obviously super power bats, but against righties, definitely in play.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as the Houston sides go, I mean, you still kind of got your lefty punts. I mean, against Stroman, and that's kind of where he struggled a little bit this year. 349 WOBA, 1.23 homers per nine. So I don't mind a punt. Preston Tucker. I mean, he's got some nice power. Obviously, Rasmus is such a boomer bust play. I don't mind those options there.
Yeah, definitely agree. I don't think there's any way I'm paying 5.5 for Jose Altuve tonight, but beyond that, I mean, uh, Springer at 4.4 is okay. I'm okay with that. Like, that's all right with me. All
Yeah,
right, Springer. You
yeah,
know?
I am too. Yeah, the Correa and Altuve price is a little bit high for me,
Yeah.
given the fact that Stroman hasn't really been, you know, he hasn't really been hit hard by right-handers. I mean, he's been okay against them. It's more the lefties that he's had trouble with. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think for the most part, the Altuve price is very easy to kind of stay away.
Right. And
So,
as you mentioned, look at the lefties there.
yeah, definitely. Nationals and Diamondbacks next, and I don't like picking on Steven Strasburg even in Chase Field. I just think it's going to be pretty tough for them to come up with any sort of runs. Obviously, it'd be contrarian, but not quite the smartest move I'm willing to make.
And I was kind of half joking about Jake Lamb on FanDuel just because he was 31. But even being 4K here makes it a pretty easy fade for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I know now with David Peralta back, they can add in another lefty or two. But Strasburg, I mean, holding lefties at 245, Woba, I mean, no real home run potential for a lot of these guys. So
for those playing at home, that's not very good for lefties.
No, it's not. But if you do want to see something good for lefties, it's Archie Bradley, 387 Woba, allowed 1.56 homers per 9. Murphy 5.4. Good Lord, give me a break. That's up there. I mean,
I could still see it making sense. But yeah, it's tough to pay that. Even in a tournament, you kind of feel queasy about throwing that in there. But I do think, I mean, Harper's a clear value there at 47, even though he's been awful of late. I think this is a pretty interesting night for Harper at 47.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I still like Trey Turner. I mean, the dude's just a burner as far as speed goes. I mean, he's getting on, he's going to run, and solid in that matchup, I think, even though Bradley has been decent against righties. Trey Turner at that price, I'll definitely be taking a shot on, especially if Murphy's out. I can still get exposure at second base with, a nice drop-down option.
For sure.
To be honest, I mean, you need like a Daniel Murphy bobblehead, like kind of set up somewhere in your screen. Like, you just need like a shirt hanging up in the back. Like,
hey, listen, lefties stick together, brother. We have a higher percentage of dying in this right-handed world, so we got to stick together.
I don't know if you made that up, but I'm going to take you at your word for it.
All right, go Google it, folks.
Anyone else from this Washington team? Or are you kind of diving down into a Ramos or Worth or Rendon at all?
Nah.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't really like kind of the righty splits there. Ramos, I don't mind at 4-3. That's probably the only one.
Yes. So. Yes.
Brewers and Padres next, and Jared Kozar versus Jimmy Nelson. And this one, I mean, we talked about this. We were kind of joking around that these lineups are shifting away. You take Lucroy out of it. You take Kemp out of it. They just look completely awful. Ryan Schimpf, I mean, 3-6 punt play here. I don't mind him. With his power, and Jimmy Nelson hasn't been great against lefties, so I don't mind Schimpf there hitting cleanup.
Now, do you think? All right, I can't do it. I was gonna make a Zach Cozart, Jared Cozart joke, but I'm not gonna do it because I can't hold.
For the love of God, stop making everyone related to each other in this game. All right, it's an S. It's not a Z. You need to stop.
I am contractually obligated to make those jokes. I think. I don't think my value as a podcaster goes down exponentially when I stop making those jokes. I think.
And that wasn't even something we put in the contract for you. It was more you slipped that in, and we signed it. We're like, oh, shit, we didn't see this.
Yeah. Okay. Here you go, guys. All right. Can you just sign this for me, please? Thank you.
It's on like a napkin with pizza sauce on it.
Great. I shuffle my papers in my folder. They're all there's coffee all over them.
You know, like a briefcase from the 70s that you took out of a Goodwill store,
I fall over and stumble and they all fall out all over the ground. It's like stick figure drawings.
Oh, all right, back to baseball here. That was a nice image because I definitely could see that happening. Lefties against Nelson.
I'm wearing Tevas.
Lefties against Nelson, I don't mind here. I think Nelson's in line for a decent start. So I'm okay with kind of putting them in, in GPP formats.
Agreed. I mean, I think the Padres are just such an interesting team to sort of target right now. With how everything's working. So yeah, I think I'm staying away from the Padres for the most part. Obviously Shrimpy, 36, not bad, but overall not totally in on this matchup.
Yeah, I'm definitely not either. And on the Brewers side, I mean, those guys are a little too expensive for me. I don't mind Nick at 4K, but I'm not paying 4.9 for Villar
Does
Braun if
does
he's
Chris
in.
Carter at 33 kind of make you think a little tiny bit there? Just a little tiny bit?
No,
No.
no,
Okay. All right. All right.
no,
All right. Fine.
no.
Okay.
If you want to be really deep in terms, you can go with a Kirk Neuenhuis if you want to. I don't hate that move.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll throw you a bone. It's not Chris Carter, but
I with that last name, I envision him dancing in a dress on the Swiss Alps.
whatever that means. Okay.
Uh,
Red Sox and Mariners, two lefties here, James Paxton versus Eduardo Rodriguez. At the Mariners side here, obviously Nelson Cruz is the standout against the lefty, 5K. I think if there is an outfielder, to pay up for, it's obviously Cruz, just given the fact that Rodriguez, I mean, the home run potential for some of these guys is just phenomenal.
Yeah, obviously you love Cruz, and as I mentioned on FanDuel, you like Cano with his splits. Gosh, I'm trying to think of that movie, the famous movie where the lady was dancing. She was dancing. It turned into a play. People.
You're a horrible charades person, Russ. I mean, this is
Oh,
bad.
fool! I'm the worst. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Mariners. Yeah, I like Cano. I like Cruz, but beyond that, I'm not really looking at much.
Yeah, I think this is where you and I differed. I mean, I didn't mind taking a shot deeper into
Yeah,
this lineup. I don't mind DeHoli at 3K. I mean, that's who I would prefer over a Carter. And whoever is catching, whether it's a Mike Zunino or Chris Ionnet, I don't mind them against Rodriguez. I think there is some decent home run potential. Franklin Gutierrez, I like the price tag a little bit more here at 3.6. I don't mind it. I don't mind kind of attacking this game as far as given that there's a lot of pitching. This is by far the one with the weakest arms. Outside of maybe Padres and Brewers as well.
Agreed.
So.
Yeah, no. So definitely in play.
Yeah, and the Red Sox price tags are
Ouch.
Bogart's not quite the value that he was over on, and he wasn't even value. It was just a drop down in comparison to here. That's too high up there for me. I don't see myself using him. Overall, I don't see myself using a ton of Sox outside of Hanley.
Yeah, I agree. There's just not. It's just too expensive for me. I mean, I get why Bogarts is 5.4. I obviously like him as a play, but it's just unfortunate. I don't see how many shares I'm going to be getting of him tonight. Hanley's still in play, though. I like that at 46.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess if you need to punt down, I mean, Bryce Brents, Aaron Hill are both below 3K. If you did need to make a punt, if you're doing something wild with your pitchers, because I mean, Strasburg's not cheap tonight. So if you were rolling him and you need to get a punt play in, I don't mind those two options.
For sure.
So let's go wrap things up with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for our great tools and content.